Please don't ask me to say any of the Georgian players' names. Just enjoy the run. And the ball back inside. Beautiful things. Breaking through now for the offload. Oh, it goes to ground. What's going to happen? Whoop! Bank shot. Rappi. You know, some people say I missed last week's video because the Springboks lost. This past weekend was the third and final one of this year's July test window. Thanks to an agreement signed like 6 years ago, a whole bunch of Tier 2 sides got the rare opportunity to take on some of the world's biggest international rugby teams and Australia outside of the World Cup. So let's dive into those matches. The All Blacks started things off with a fun little excursion to San Diego, where they took on Fiji at Snapdragon Stadium. Fiji came into this match nearly unchanged from the team that beat Georgia in Georgia a few weeks ago, while the All Blacks had 6 debutants in their 23 for the game. Even with all the newbies, the All Blacks did not find it hard to run up a big score against Fiji, and that little spark of anxiety over the Razorblacks grew just a little more. It almost feels like England should have won that first game, and by losing, the giant boulder has started rolling a little too easily. Anyway, with Bodie and McKenzie on the field, you could be sure of lots of cross-field kicks and Severis runs. And Billy Proctor had a pretty good debut as well. Fiji did, however, get a lot of meters going up the guts, like France usually do. And if they could clear their final ruck better, things might have been on the outside. Maybe a little something to look for against these All Blacks? I don't know, probably not. I'm just a guy. 47 points to 7 for the men in black and a nice 3-game winning streak at the start of the Anointed One's All Blacks career. The Anointed One, but if it was smooth jazz, is on his own 3-game winning streak with the Wallabies. They took on Georgia in Sydney on Saturday and put in a not quite flawless display. What was that? Low Risk Joe likes to keep his rugby teams tight and accurate, so the 12 turnovers and 1 red card will no doubt rankle. They are showing a definite game plan though, with many short little pop balls to players running against the grain, and lots of phases between the 5 and 15 meter lines. That's new for the Aussies, who have struggled to build multi-phase possessions for ages now. If they can cut out some of the ill discipline and improve their passing a little bit, they might be on their way to the upper echelons of world rugby again. Also, their field kicking might be a little shit, which should improve against the more aggressive defenses. Georgia's defense is not that, and once the benches came into play, the newly cheerful Aussies ran away with it for a confident, if slightly erroneous, 40-29 victory. Schmidt it in. After that, we crossed to Bloemfontein, where I and a bunch of other Joburgers learned that you could just take your unopened beer cans to the stands at Free State Stadium. With 6-packs securely in hand, we sat down for a fun afternoon of watching the Boks take on the very exciting Portugal. And then almost immediately the fun stopped. At only 2 minutes in, Andre Esterhuizen saw Jose Lima receive the ball. He ran at him for like 20 meters, lined him up, and then promptly forgot how to tackle. Look at that shambles. So upright. Heads in the same space. Eyes closed and looking away like when I get into slap fights. The unfortunate outcome of that tackle meant that Lima went to the hospital on a stretcher and Andre Esterhuizen got sent off for the rest of the game. He'll also probably receive a multiple match ban and have to attend the dreaded tackle school of hard knocks. So the Boks were down to 14 men for 78 minutes of the game against Os Lobos, a team known for their wide attacking game. No, I wasn't stressed. We had a Lacanyo. He just played 12 and 13 for the whole game, and you would never know the Boks were down at the end of the game. We were leading. What? I mean, down a man. There isn't really much else to read into this game. When your players are breaking outside their opposing defenders, you know there is a speed and explosiveness gap that professional training has built up over many years. Maybe one could feel a little disappointed in Marnie's kick as well. No, I mean kicking. It probably was that poor kicking that brought Sasha FM on early in the second half. South Africa's newest wonder boy proceeded to slot 5 out of 5 and might have turned Marnie's eyes slightly further to the Far East. Besides all that, Ben Jason Dixon continues to impress, and the Lions now have 4 whole-ass Springboks, something the Sharks are sure to rectify in 2025. 64 points to 21 the end score, but rugby was the real winner with a proper festival atmosphere at the stadium thanks to the very cool Portuguese fans that came to the game. The last Sanzon match of the weekend was between Los Pumas and Uruguay, and I always say the Pumas only get better after their first match of the year, and boy howdy have they gotten better. They won on the scoreboard, they won in every stat that matters, and dare I say it, they might have won on the fashion runways. Look at them jerseys. Now, if you couldn't read much into the box match, then looking into this game might leave you illiterate. I won't take that risk. Let's just enjoy the fact that Uruguay got a shot and forget the 5 points to 79 scoreline forever and ever. That leaves us with 2 weekends off before the start of the Rugby Championship, so we can all have a breather and rage at each other over the squads that are about to be announced. Speaking of which, what's news, pussycat? First news is that the Springboks announced one of those squads I just talked about this morning. The biggest changes are at lock since the Boks are without the services of Franco Mostert, Lotte Jager and Jean Klein. That means Eben Etzebeth, RG Snyman, Salman Murat and newly called up Ruan Nokia will be the tall boys in the squad. Really happy for Ruan Nokia. He's the closest thing to a Franco Mostert we have in this new generation of players. Good stuff. Malcolm Marx is in the team despite a fractured leg, but apparently he should be ready by the second week of the competition. He is joined by and Grobler, who seems to have leapfrogged Dweba. I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that as well. At prop, Steven Kitshoff is still injured, so in his place is Thomas the Tank and Jan-Hendrik Wessels. The rest are all known quantities. Where's Trevor? In the Lucies, the coaches have replaced Jasper Wiese and Evan Ruiz with Ben Jason Dixon and Ulrich Lowe. While I like Evan Ruiz for his highlight reel plays, there's something about a diesel engine number 8 in the Bok green that just sits well with me. I don't know what it is, it just feels like Ulrich can soften up teams more before Quagga is unleashed. Please don't start Quagga. Another big injury is Faf. He misses out, and in his place is Morne van der Berg, another fast, blonde lion scrummy, but with less L'Oreal sponsorship potential or crack in his veins. The World Cup winning duo of Handré the Kicker Pollard and Mani the Runner Libok are in at 10. But what if you could have a third? One that does everything. I am super glad to see Jesse, DDA and back in the midfield. Probably only Ireland are as confident in who their top 3 centres are as us. And I'm also doubly happy to see playing without strapping on any of his knees. And finally, it is the crazy bunch at the back. I don't think many rugby lovers would be too upset with having Arendse, Leroux, Colby, Mapimpi and Fussy in their team. So cool there as well. And that is the squad to try and win the Rugby Championship. There's some new faces, a whole bunch of old faces, and a new game plan to try and implement. You will catch me at Ellis Park to watch the All Blacks. And the final bit of news for the week is about Ardie Savea. You know, the official best rugby player in the world for 2023. He has announced that he's moving from the Hurricanes to the Moana Pacifica team for next year's Super Rugby Pacific competition. This is amazing, since the team he's going to came last, and second last in the 3 seasons that they have existed. Obviously, he's going to try and improve that next year. He is also still eligible for the All Blacks, since Moana Pacifica are based in Auckland in New Zealand, so no worries there. Savea has mentioned that he is very proud of his Samoan heritage, and he sees this as a way to give back to his culture. No doubt the crowds for the Moana Games will be a bit bigger next year, and I am hoping for a Julian Ardie Savea try-assist combo thing to happen next season. Please, that'll be so cool. And what else is cool is that that's the end of this week's rugby update. Sorry about the radio silence last week. I promise I did have a script going for the Ireland versus South Africa game, but then adulting just got in the way. I'm gonna get in my own way for the next 2 weeks because I need a bit of a break. It's been non-stop videos for months now because of all the finals and quarterfinals and whatever, and I just want to recharge before the Rugby Championship begins. Maybe I'll get onto some podcasts in the meantime. Anyone, just call me. Bye! you.